I was debating with myself whether to throw my 2 cents into the pond of many coins. I am not sure if I know enough. At any event, I am talking about the esoteric concept or theory that some fluid from the pelvis rises to the brain, the pineal gland, and causes enlightenment. This notion is found in some form or another in many religions, subgroups, and even contemporary or secular minds who advocate against what is called a dopamine rush, for the purpose of success in life. I suppose the physical body and its insides may reflect a spiritual process, but, for the moment, I think such an analogous process is mere shadow, without an effect towards enlightenment. Chastity, or its end result, the activation of the pineal gland, from my view, cannot cause truth, cannot cause light. It is a deception. The door of truth, or God, is not the pineal gland. Now these things may be a shadow of an actual process, which is of great value. And the actual process, surprisingly, does involve the physical brain. Now since we have fallen, and are broken, we have contracted into the life and aliveness of the organic entity, the physical body and its brain. And the organic entity is part of us, and is alive, and is a being in its own right, and must be valued. The fallen brain, or fallen mind, connected to the brain, thinks in a particular way, and this is the key. It is the way we think. The deep undercurrents of our mind have deep thoughts of fear of death, and secondly, deep insecurity of the value of self. All subsequent behaviors in life, ways of thinking, are linked to these, and can explain our competitive fighting for survival, our narcissistic needs. Above these deep pathological rivers are a second paradigm structure of thought, which besets us daily. It is the problem of pain. Now the mind in pain has an unusual habit, it keeps memories. It keeps and stores memories of adversity, of threats and potential threats, spikes, thorns and thistles, hedges, all images and image ideas of negative things. This collection rotates inside our minds, day and night, over and over. We can suppress them a little inside a bubble of lucidity. The presence of the collection of the thorns and thistles cause the mind to think outwardly, being defensive the whole time, it looks away from itself the whole time, and the mind is not aware of this process, thinking it to be natural. So the brain is automatic, that is the automatic organic entity. And this system of thorns inside the mind is, if I can borrow someone else's term, the system of the dragons. We recall that the Lord had told Micah Turnbow, the system of the dragons is the needle, and the needle attacks the brain. So this process of negative rotating thoughts in our mind pricks the internal self, and are therefore penetrating, and are therefore needles, and this is the system of the fallen dragons, who trap the minds of humans. The way out is to practice peace in our mind. But this requires a particular and necessary ingredient. Mere peace or stillness is not enough. So in my meditation I behold the Lord, so that I am in the light of truth. I focus on stillness, then I create a platform, an ingredient, of forgetting everything, or nearby, everything is new. It is the idea, to a point, that everything I knew before is wrong, and everything in my mind is open to wonderful new things, things I did not consider. I am, in this way, trying to destroy the rotating circle of thorns, by being dismissive. I am not saying I forget everything, I am just saying, I use this idea as a mechanism. And the above practice explains to me two interesting things I had read from others. The first is from Neville Johnson. He met Enoch, from the Bible, and Enoch told him that we must spend an hour a day thinking nothing, thinking nothing. This strange device is starting to make sense. The second is what the Lord told Joseph Sturgeon, which is, as I recall, that we have to come to the Lord with our minds, forgetting everything, an interface and a process, and then, the Lord added, when we start this process we should be careful, because then our thoughts become reality. So I have been thinking about this for a while. Why would our thoughts become reality as a result of this practice? Well, the rotating crown of needles are removed, and now something happens in the way we think. The brain has no longer distortions, which affect creative capacity. The brain now sees and feels the self of the soul, or an image of our exquisite and beautiful self, in peace. Now feeling and seeing the exquisite self, and I am as it were, in reflective self-awareness, is inward looking. And this sense of self in the brain contains a concentration, or concentration gradient, a fullness of self, rather than a fullness of a chemical from the pelvis. Now this exquisite self, without a crown of thorns, feels full, but it no longer looks away from itself. The concentration stays full, is guarded, the self does not spill itself as waters or fluid to sides, leaking its power. And this self, our beautiful sense of self, is very powerful. Our thoughts become reality.